Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Covers. If you're watching for the first time, say hello. Watching for the first time. If you're used to this show, hello again. Please just put in the comments, watching again. So, if you're watching for the first time, my name is Daniela Bleckner. I am an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Strings Publishing. Let me sort my mic out. Conscious Strings Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful message and story out there in the form of books. Behind me on my bookshelf are just some of the 300 plus books that we have published over the last 9 years. I'm absolutely passionate about providing a platform for unseen, unheard authors, for them to have their voices heard and stories shared. They can educate, entertain, inspire, transform, empower for generations to come. That's the beauty of publishing a book. And I can see some comments coming up. Hello there, Bernadette. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new to this show, what is it about? And why is it called Between the Covers? It's called Between the Covers because it's all about exploring that author journey, getting up close and personal with authors and people in the publishing industry to really find out what goes on between the covers of creating, publishing, and distributing a book. Now, I have an extra special guest here today. Oh, look how the music just stops at the right time. I have an extra special guest here today. She's come all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, across the pond, as they say. I'm going to be introducing her very, very shortly, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown before I pop my seat back up to let you know what has been going on this month. So I haven't gone live for a while. It's been a very, very busy month. If you're from the US, you may not know. Hey there, Michelle. You may not know that Black History Month is in October. So we are 3 days in to Black History Month. Again, it's been an extremely busy month. Yesterday, we launched Daniel and David, The Twins Visit Granny and Granddad, a beautiful book that celebrates the beautiful bond between grandparents and grandchildren. I also have 2 other books coming out. This is by Makeda. And then we have Abyssal Kingdom, A Broken Past. I'll be interviewing Neural Solitaire, a 14-year-old girl who's written this brilliant fantasy novel coming out on, I think, the 26th of October. And then we have a Secret, written by Helena Villa, who wrote an absolutely fantastic, heart-wrenching book, true story of her losing her husband to cancer and the family's journey within that. I've been working with her for about 2 years to get this out. It's been a real, challenging book for her to write, and I can't wait to bring her live onto Between the Covers for you to meet her. You may or may not know we are doing an event called Black Authors on the Rise, celebrating Black authors, the achievements within literature, publishing, and celebrating African Caribbean culture. It's on the 27th of October at Keys House in Battersea. I have 25 stall holders all ready to share their author journeys. There'll be workshops. I'm running a storytelling workshop for 6 to 11-year-olds. We have another storytelling workshop by one of our authors, Yoshiba. We have plenty of exciting things going on, poetry workshop for adults and one on book marketing. So check that out. Follow my page at Conscious Streams Publishing for all of that information. Now, I think you want to really meet my next guest. So please, I want to see, wherever you're watching from, please show me fire emojis so that I know you are ready for our next guest. Fire emojis, please, so I can see that you are ready for our guest. She has come all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, to join us today. I'm very, very excited about this one. So Michelle's giving me some, Michelle's giving me some fire. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, I'm just going to make sure that you are tagged in this before I start. Are you ready? Okay, so Bernadette's giving us some fire emojis. Whoop, whoop. We've got some fire emojis from Lee. Hello, Lee. And some fire emojis going from Michelle. I think you're ready. Okay. So I'm going to introduce to you Cami Red. She's a renowned author, entrepreneur, and founder of Cami Red LLC. She's dedicated to promoting sustainable nutrition and holistic wellness. She's a breast cancer survivor and mental health advocate. Her work is deeply inspired by her own personal journey toward healing and self-empowerment. Her books and programs provide practical guidance for healthy and balanced life. So we're going to be discussing her book, which I have listened to on Audible and is available right now, called Dear Black Woman. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us all the way from Georgia, Atlanta. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on Between the Covers.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. No problems. I've listened to your book and I've got a ton of questions. But again, this show is always very interactive. So if you have any questions, please do throw those questions up. So first of all, Dear Black Woman, what inspired you to write this book? I just want to give what inspired you to write the book? I was looking for the tagline there. What inspired you to write this book, first of all? Because I know that
this book is a bunch of love letters that initially I wrote to myself. And they were actually a therapy assignment for me after going through a pretty, what we'll call, toxic type of relationship. And my therapist told me to remind myself of who I was and what I had accomplished and the things that I had done in life. And I turned this assignment into her. She showed it to one of her colleagues and she came back to me and she said, "Hey, Cami, I know writing is your side hustle. And this isn't my first book." So she was like, "I think, can we share this with some of our clients? Because I think all Black women need to hear some of this." And so I said, okay, well, I'll take it into consideration. And I cleaned it up a little bit, took some personal parts out of it, and I released it to the public in July of this year. So.
And it is a fantastic read. So, I mean, there's a lot that you talk about in that book, and I love that you really center on self-love, self-worth. But who would you say your book is for? And what is the kind of biggest message that you want to send?
So I'm definitely going to say, because I am a Black woman, my book is for Black women, but anyone, any man, any woman, any race, gender can pick up the book and they will find something that resonates with them. The message is just making sure that you're showing up authentically as who you are, being proud of yourself, loving yourself, and finding that balance in all areas of your life and being able to just present yourself happy authentically as you, just being you. If that means wearing your natural hair, if that means celebrating your heritage, if that means, stop faking the funk when you go to places. Don't feel like you have to be perfect. Don't feel like you don't fit in, because we belong in every space that we're in. We belong in every room that we walk into, and you need to walk into that room proudly of who you are. So
100%. Say that again. It's so important, isn't it, to know who we are and to know that it's okay to take up space and to shine our light.
It's okay to be yourself, and you belong in every area. So if you're struggling with places that you feel like you don't fit in, just know that you do fit in and you matter. Your feelings matter. They're valid, and you get to represent you in the best possible way as possible. So
100%. I mean, this is definitely a book that can be read. I mean, there's nuggets that can be read on a universal level for everybody. But I mean, what would you say specifically, obviously being a Black woman myself, but living in the UK, what would you say specifically are some of the real challenges that Black women face in the US?
Well, first of all, I'm learning that it's not just in the US, because as you know, Danny, I actually have a podcast called Dear Black Woman as well. And it is with a young lady that's in the UK, a young lady that's in France, and myself. So we're giving the perspective from Black women from 3 different countries. And what I'm learning is that we face some of the same things no matter where we are. If that is, showing up authentically, if that's a self-esteem thing, if it's fitting into your secure space, if it's navigating stereotypes that have been placed upon us, it's all of those things, dealing with mental health and emotional health issues. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Us as Black women face so many adversities in every area. And here in the United States, I'm actually learning that it's a little bit better for us here in the United States than it is in other places. So we take a lot of things for granted. And I just want to, point out that even though we're suffering, or I'm not even going to say suffering, we're dealing with some things, some challenges in life, then this book is supposed to give you the affirmations, the lessons, the love, to let you know that it doesn't matter where you are in life right now. Just appreciate where you are. Nothing in the world is perfect. Nothing in your life is going to be perfect. And we just have to love ourselves for who we are and where we are in life.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Cami. Michelle says, yes, hail up our Black queens. Well, I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, there are, a lot of things that we have to overcome, or we have to, that can be challenging. For example, the stereotypes of the angry Black woman, or the hair not being quite right for the workplace. I mean, I don't work in corporate or anything like that, so I'll express myself how I want. But I mean,
we had a conversation not too long ago about how you show up in your workplace. Here in 2024 in the United States, they're currently passing laws about allowing Black women to show up wearing their natural hair. We're in 2024. What do you mean you got to pass a law that says we're allowed to wear our natural hair? Meaning I can come to work with my afro like this, or I can come to work with my hair straight. It doesn't matter what my hair looks like, because my hair doesn't dictate the job that I do.
100%. We've got something similar. I think it was a few weeks ago. We've got World Afro Day. I mean, it's crazy to think these things even need to exist. When I was growing up, I had a huge afro. I was proud of it. And then you kind of quickly learn when you go into certain workplaces or certain spheres, even in some schools, some children that has been highlighted on the news have been sent home because they've got locks, which is a cultural hairstyle, it's intrinsic to culture. Or they've been told they can't wear their hair, and there's something now called the halo code. So I mean, it really is.
We've actually had several cases here where young men have been actually suspended from school because of their locks. There was a case in Texas where a young man was put out of school, I believe his junior year, and had to go to an alternative school because he refused to cut his locks. So that's a cultural hairstyle. So what you're saying is it's not okay for us to show up as who we are. And that's not in 2024. And anytime, we should not feel that way. We should be celebrated and accepted for who we are. Because if I'm being honest with you, we can do the job really well, if not better sometimes.
And that's the thing. I mean, it all then goes back to all psychologically what this does is it attacks the self-worth, the self-esteem. Do I deserve to take up the space? Do I need to earn this place? Can I not authentically be who I am? And I think
that's what my book sort of covers. It tells you that no matter what's being said, what stereotypes are being forced upon you, what society standards or what societal standards are being told that you have to upkeep, it doesn't matter. Okay, you get to show up as yourself. And if anyone has a problem with who you are, that's not a you problem, that's a them problem.
100%. So we sort of rewind back a little bit. I know you've written quite a few books I've seen from your website, which is amazing, all different sort of aspects. But just sticking with this topic for now, what was the catalyst? I know you said that you had you were writing this as a form of healing, but what would you say was the real catalyst that made you say, right, I'm writing for myself, but I now want to put this out to help other people? What was that thing that sparked you?
It was a little bit of persuasion, again, by my therapist. And I asked her, why would you want me to put my personal, thoughts out there for the world. And she literally said, I'm going to take a copy of this and show this to a couple of my other clients, regardless if you publish it or not, because there are some things that I talk about in therapy sessions with other people where you just covered them all in your assignment. I wrote 50 letters in different categories about the things that I had been going through, the things that I was feeling. And for her to tell me there are other women out there like me that are feeling this way, that are going through some of these things, it was really that catalyst. Plus, one of my cousins, she was going through something at the time, and it was crazy because, you know, in therapy they tell you to build a group of people around you so that you can graduate out of therapy, so to speak, so that you have a support system and a support group. And my cousin is in my group as I am in hers. And she was going through something, and I said, hey, I'm going to send this to you. I want you to read it. I want you to go through it. And then I had another girlfriend who was going through something too. And I said, okay, well, I'm starting to see the pattern here. I told my therapist, I'm hearing you loud and clear. I'm seeing the pattern, and just watching how people responded to these letters, watching how it affected their lives, watching how they would respond to me and say, hey, I read this and this made me cry because I didn't realize that it was going to resonate so deeply with me. On my TikTok page, when I was giving away the book free on Audible, I had a lot of women who I interviewed on my TikTok, and this one lady said that she literally took a journal. She found a journal or just a notebook, and she started to write. And as I was interviewing her about the review of my book, she began to cry, and she began to tell me all of the things that were, you know, resonating with her and the things that she needed to change about herself in her life. And I was like, oh my God, I never even imagined touching so many people with this book, or it making that big of a difference in everyone's life. I was just trying to heal myself.
Well, that's it. You know, thank you so much. It's there's a saying that she who knows it feels it. And sometimes it's you, that person who's gone through that's gone through the trauma, that's gone through the challenges. And sometimes I think we're always on a never-ending journey to healing. No one is ever completely healed, so to speak. But you know, it's such a brave step to put it out there. And the fact that you did, and you never know who it's going to help. And you may never know the people who've read your letters or even a letter and taken something from it and being able to really, really help themselves in some sort of way. So I thank you for writing that book. What I love about it is it's like a friend sort of gently talking to you, and it's easy to listen to or to read. They're not, you know, short letters. You can listen to one a day. You know, I listened to the whole thing in one sitting, and it's so relatable. And, you know, thank you for writing that. It's really brave. And
once I wrote it, I realized that, you know, they give you the option to put your books and stuff on Audible. And I was like, okay, I don't want it to be just a generic voice reading the book. I literally need people to understand how I felt, and I need women to feel the feeling behind each of these letters. So I felt like it was my personal responsibility once I wrote the book to also record it in my own voice and giving my own pain and my own healing and my own love to this book as well. So that's why I was hoping it was relatable.
It really was. I'm so glad I listened to it because I could get the voice, I could get the feeling. You know, it's just it's really relatable and friendly. You know, it was kind and strong at the same time. If you are watching, you can get a copy of Cammie's book on Amazon and Audible. The links are in the post. I'm going to put Cammie's website up here, but I have some comments to it. If you have any questions for Cammie, please throw those questions up as well. Red Oxtail says, sickening that another culture can dictate to another what their hair should look like in the workplace. Exactly.
Don't forget, they've been telling us how to dress, what our hair should look like, what our makeup should look like. They've literally created a standard of beauty based on them. But now what we are realizing is it's not their beauty that they actually want, it's our beauty. So in a way, they were trying to keep us down by telling us that, this is who you should be and this is how you should look. But look at everybody nowadays. Everybody, I was just hearing to say, the lip injections, the BBLs, everybody wants our look, our bodies, our shapes. They're getting our cheekbones. They're doing all of that. So it wasn't that they were trying to, it's what it always is that they're trying to keep us feeling lower than who we actually are. So my book is telling you, it does not matter what someone is telling you. It doesn't matter what they're saying to you in society, on TV, what they're showing you. What matters is how you feel about you, and that you show up in a way that you represent yourself and you feel authentic about it.
In the year, I'm going to do the clicking thing right here. Hey. I want to see some fire emojis or some clappy hands or something on that. That's a mic drop. We need to have a mic drop emoji there. 100%. So Michelle saying, really, by suppressing your hair, Samson and Delilah effect take away your strength. Exactly.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
says so true. We've got the braids, the hairstyles. Red Oxal says true, culture thieves.
Yeah, and they're not just stealing. Don't forget, they're not just stealing our looks now. They're stealing everything: our music, our dances, our everything. Everything they told us that was wrong about us is now a part of who they are, and they tried so hard to keep us down. And that's why I say. And let me be very clear with you guys: it comes from outside of the house, but it also comes from inside of the house as well. So. If you are out there, and I'm going to say this to you, Black men, I need you to step up and take care of Black women. So don't keep going with what society is saying. Don't keep using, well, Black women are this and Black women are that. We are not. We are what you have created us to be. And that's why so many women, Black women, get so many different stereotypes. We talked about this on the podcast, and I can name them all. We talked about the angry Black woman syndrome. We talked about the mammy complex, which is that nurturing spirit that we all have. The strong Black woman
dangerous
compliment. Okay, just so we know, so you know, that is not a compliment. That means that you are expected to take whatever is thrown at you and keep moving. And you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that.
Take your own stuff, but take everyone else's as well before your own. And I think that's a huge problem, women in society. Hey, we've got Lulu Bell on, Lauren. Hello. Friends. So she connected me with Cami. Thank you so much, Lulu. I know that you're part of the Dear Black Women podcast with Cami.
Yes, that's my co-host and my love. I love her.
She's saying, would you suggest other women write a diary when healing? Yeah, brilliant. That was one of my questions about.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, since I've written this book, Dear Black Woman, I actually have a journal that is a companion piece to it. And that is so that you can yourself write love letters to yourself. It's so that you can take what I've done and expand upon it and personalize it for your own life. It's so that you can write your story as well. Danny and I are both publishers in each country that we're in. And I actually have another book coming out that's talking about how to turn your trauma into your testimony. So brilliant. I love the fact that Lulu asked that question. I absolutely, definitely think you should keep a diary and write out what you're feeling. Get it out of your head and put it on a piece of paper so that it's no longer affecting you mentally and emotionally. And you can, like Danny's book, I don't know if you guys have read one of Danny's books. I think it's 10 years old now. Where she talks about her trauma and the things that she went through as well. So get it out, write it out. You don't necessarily have to publish it, but get it out of your head, get it out of your space so you're no longer living in it.
100%. So, I mean, I think we've definitely got a lot in common. So when you were younger, do you write? I mean, I started off with poetry. I always loved writing, but I found poetry and writing rap was such a healing way of first being able to process my own thoughts, but also to heal and work through them. Did you start that way?
Yes, ma'am. I got my first poem published when I was in the 4th grade.
Hey! Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. And so I want to ask you then, I know when I wrote my first book, Mr. Wrong, 10 years ago, the feeling of, I mean, I come from a family that's very much like, you don't chat your business, you sweep it under the carpet, you don't, you know what I mean, don't air your dirty laundry outside. And although I wasn't airing dirty laundry in that way, and it definitely is not a man bashing
No,
book.
it's not about airing dirty laundry. It's about you writing down how you're feeling. And what you just said is actually something we talked about last week on our podcast. And I'm gonna have you on our podcast. I just hang out around this. We talked about mental health issues in Black women, and that is something that we've all heard. But let me just say this, isn't that how the uncles, the pedophiles, and everybody got away with doing stuff to little Black girls? Because we were told you don't discuss what goes on outside of your house. And really, when you're writing, it doesn't matter who it offends or what controversies you may bring up in your family. What you got to remember is this is about healing you, and no one else, nobody else's journey. If they want to heal themselves, they've got to go on their own healing journey. And like you said, Danny, this is not something that's going to just happen overnight. This is an ongoing thing, which is why my book is on Audible, because I actually listen to my book every day. Like I wake up.
Wow.
To it, because you got to remember what I tell you, it was therapy lessons for me that I was supposed to be reading and going over all the time as I go through my healing process. So my book is on Audible, but for those people who don't necessarily have time to sit down and read, but maybe you can actually go and listen to it so that you understand this healing journey doesn't stop. It's something that goes on forever and forever and forever. And if you're writing about it, you're getting it out of your headspace, you're getting it out of your mental compartments that you have up there, and it's freeing you up to do other things in your life and to live a beautiful life. I don't care what we were taught when we were younger. We have, in 2024, we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we have already learned. So that is very important, that writing your journey, writing for your healing, just writing out what your issues are, even if it's just one day at a time. Just write out, today I felt like this, and this is where I think this is stemming from. So just write it out and get it out. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a public thing. It can just be a private thing for you.
Yeah. I think that's really powerful as well, because we're so busy. I mean, society I feel like we're so busy. We don't stop. And, as women as well, you carry so many roles, sister, mother, entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, working, you're kind of split in so many different ways.
Don't forget about that. Caregiver.
Yeah, all of that. And it's like sometimes we might know something or feel like we've learned something, but we learn by repetition. So those affirmations, your books, your words act as affirmations, and those kind of things need to be listened to over and over again. So I'm going to put in the link again. I'm going to highlight it here to the Audible. It's great to read things, but if you're someone who learns by listening, and again, it goes into subconscious, you can listen to it. It's a great way to start your day. 1 or 2 letters.
Right? Yeah. I had another publisher here in the state. She lives in Ohio, and I sent her, I'm a part of her writing group. I co-chair that with her, and I sent her the information on it, and I had explained to her, she called me back and she said, "Oh my God, Cameron, this is so good." She said, "I walk with this." She said, "So I listen to the letters each day as I walk. I walk and I pick a specific letter that you wrote about in the book, and I use that as my motivation as I walk and I move forward. And then I go home and I journal about what you wrote. And then I in my journal, I write about how it makes me feel, if it brought up any feelings from my past, or, what I'm going through right now in present day." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much."
Sometimes it's frustrating when you hear, like, you know, our pain provides a purpose. But it really does, even though we don't want to go through that pain. I mean, if I had a choice to say, hey, you know what, I want a life without pain or trauma, because that's just easy, isn't it? I would prefer that. However, I do believe that things happen for a reason. And I do believe that, you know, what kind of unites us is through our connection to each other, knowing we're not alone in our suffering. And the more of us speak up and we realize we're not alone in our journey. Cammie's been through this. I've been through that. It's such a healing space, you know, and I think that's what the book provides.
The beautiful part of it is this. We carry trauma from decades, and I'm actually learning about what it means to be a trauma informed coach because of this book. So what we carry is intergenerational trauma on our backs.
Yeah.
And this is trauma from decades and years and, you know, centuries of the things that we have gone through as African descendants. And
that goes back 7 generations, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And it doesn't, let me be very clear. I don't know how it is for you guys over in the UK. I'm learning from Lauren and from you that it's very similar to what it is here. We actually still carry trauma from 400 years ago when we were enslaved. So, you know, like we just talked about, fighting to wear our natural hair. That's traumatic. And that didn't just come from, you know, 7 generations ago. That came from us being enslaved and taken from our motherland and brought to different places and being told that we can no longer be who we have always been. You know, wearing cornrows, wearing our afros, wearing the different types of braids that we wear in different styles, in different things. That's always been an African thing. Let me just be very clear on that. It has. Those are traditions that were passed down. And if you go to Africa, you will see that different tribal groups have different ways of wearing their hair to represent them. We don't know what tribe we came from. All we know is that our ancestors were taken from their land and brought here. And that's not, you know, and that's traumatic, being told that you got to conform to what we want you to be. You can't look like what your ancestors look like. You can't do that. That's traumatic. So you're carrying that trauma. Women are carrying trauma from their grandmother's lives, from their mother's lives, from their great grandmother's lives. We're carrying the trauma of our husbands, of our brothers, of our, you know, sisters. We carry a lot within us, and that trauma shows up in many, many different ways. So we've got to learn how to let go of some of that sometimes and work beyond that. And one of the things I talk about in my book is celebrating your heritage. Celebrate where you came from, whether you know it or not specifically. Get to learn it, get to know it, find out why certain things resonate with you, find out why we do certain things culturally, why we act certain ways culturally, why we present in certain ways culturally. And what you're going to find out is we had to hide a lot. We had to hide a lot in our lives. We had to hide a lot when we were enslaved. We're being told to hide how we feel right now. So, it's about just showing up, having valid emotions, having valid feelings, allowing your feelings to really be there. It doesn't matter if they call you the angry Black woman, you know, so what? But you got to ask them, what did you do to me before I became that?
Okay, I'm going to take a beat there. That was a lot. That was a lot to unpack. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about, you know, the going back. Yes, we have our trauma. We have the trauma of our parents, our grandparents. But going back deeper into like the different generations, as you were saying, the biggest way to break up a community of people is to turn them against each other, to take away their roots. You know, to pull them away from their roots, to break up the languages, to take away their identity, take away their names. I mean, most of us don't know. We'll never know what our real names are.
No,
it's a real, and I think a lot of other cultures don't maybe ourselves don't understand how deep it goes. That kind of pulling up, taking away, just, you know, what's the word? Disrooting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or there's a word I want to use, but I can't think of the word. But yeah, just uprooting and placing you somewhere completely foreign and saying, you adapt to this. What you are
Mhm.
is not acceptable. You need to conform to that. It's a lot. It's a lot to unpack there. So
Yeah. But just imagine being a Black woman now in 2024 and having to unpack all of that. Yeah, just like having to unpack not only trauma from then, but the trauma that's being inflicted on us
now.
now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like we still, one of the things we learned and we talked about today on our podcast was the fact that we're the most educated group here in the United States, and we're also the largest number of self-employed entrepreneurs in the United States as well, and that's Black women. But we are paid the lowest amount in corporate
Yeah.
America. So that's trauma that we're facing right now in today's society. One of the things I write about in my book is forging a way for people behind us because those things were forged for us. So it's very important that we understand that I cannot reiterate this enough. It is okay to show up as you. It is okay to show up as a Black woman who has feelings, who understands who she is, who loves herself, and who wants to receive what is due to her and what is equal to her. And that's either in work, in love, in life. Period. Even in, like I said, in love, in relationships, we should not have to dim our light for someone else. Our partner should be very accepting, very warm, very loving of who we are. That's why I say, hey, Black men, I need you guys to step up too. I need you all to step up and say, let's take care of these Black women because you have no idea what the Black women are actually feeling right now. We're feeling betrayed by the world, but we're also feeling a little betrayed by you too sometimes. So just standing up for us, standing in line with us, because here in the United States, the civil rights movement that took place here, it was a lot of women, but men were the front of the line for that. We have to learn that we have to work together and not against each other. And in my book, I talk about finding community, creating your own tribe. Those are things that we all have to do. We all have to be responsible for. So if your community looks like just women, then something is wrong with your community because it should be equally across the board. It should be men and women.
100%. And men, if you're listening, honestly, this is so important. Sometimes it's this divide of like, this is a woman's thing, this is a woman's right, this is, it both are needed.
Yeah.
We've got enough stress from all directions. I don't want to go into some of the things I see on social media sometimes of Black men trolling Black women. It's just so unnecessary.
So if we don't get the love from the men within our own community, why would any other community give us love either? So that's why that's why the book is called Dear Black Woman, because what I want Black women to know is whether you are getting the love you think you're whether you're not getting it or not, you deserve it. You deserve the love. You deserve the respect. You deserve to be in these places. You deserve it. Sometimes it may seem like it's hard and that you don't fit in or you don't need to be there, but you deserve it as well. You deserve to be anywhere you desire to be. You deserve to be loved right. You deserve to feel that. You deserve to feel good about yourself. And you deserve to take care of yourself as well.
Because that's where it starts, right? With us.
Right.
I've got to read these comments because we've got quite a few here. You've got Bernadette saying, I'm so fearfully and wonderfully made. Amen. Bernadette's giving some fire emojis. Lulu's giving us the fire. So is Red Oxtail. Bernadette's saying, men. This is my partner. Red Oxtail saying, I'm doing my job. Trust. He is. Bernadette says it's because we as a people really truly do not know who they are. We have to spend time with self in order to understand and appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. They say, Maslow's law, the most important, survival need for humanity is a sense of belonging. When you don't have that sense of belonging, all the other needs there become unmet because there's a rocky foundation. And I think we're in a great position to create that foundation through exactly what you've said, uniting together and thinking about future generations and paving the way for them.
Because we're turning on ourselves. We're turning on ourselves and we're turning on each other. And what we don't understand is this was the plan from the beginning. And our ancestors, if they didn't do one thing, they stuck together. You understand? They did. It doesn't matter what it looked like. They definitely stuck together, and we have to take a lesson from that. So if we're going to learn something from our past, it's learn to stick together in this. It's learn to love your heritage, love your people, love who you are in this, love yourself. Because a lot of times, I'll give you an example. This young lady commented on my YouTube clip about our podcast where I was talking about the different masks that Black women wear, because Lulu made the statement that, we never see the in-between with Black women. We always see the good and then we see the break, but there's no in-between. And I said, that's because in between we're busy wearing several different masks. And we have to learn how to take those masks off and move forward. And we have to learn how to show up authentically, because in 2024, we're still scared to show up as ourselves. And this young lady, she got on there and I think it upset her. And she said some things that really troubled me. And I realized she was speaking from a place of trauma. And I realized that a lot of people have hurt from being in community. A lot of people have hurt from being around other sisterhoods and around other things. But what it's making us do, and we've got to learn to let go of that hurt. We've got to learn to be able to move forward. Maybe that tribe wasn't your tribe. Maybe that wasn't where you were supposed to be. But there's definitely a tribe of people out there that fit who you are and who you're supposed to be with. And you're going to know it, because when you find them, they're going to love on you. They're going to support you. They're going to pour into you. So those are important lessons that I teach and I talk about in the book as well, is the people that you surround yourself with. It shouldn't be hard to make friends, and it shouldn't be a toxic thing all the time. You should be pouring into your friends, and your friends should be pouring it back into you. It shouldn't be a one-sided pour. And I was in a relationship that was a one-sided pour, where I actually found myself begging my partner to love me in the manner that I was loving him. And that's where this book came from, for me realizing that I cannot pour into other people that aren't pouring into me. So if you are experiencing where you've had trauma being in groups or trauma dealing with other Black women, I'm telling you, this book will help you sort of lean into getting rid of some of that trauma and going out there and finding the right tribe of women, the right tribe of people for you to be around. Because we can't do life alone. And that's
true. No woman is an island, 100%. I want to read some of the rest of these comments, and I have a few more questions for you. My chair keeps sitting down, and I'd love you to read a little bit from the book. But,
okay, definitely.
I just want to acknowledge some of the rest of these. Michelle says, the strong Black woman. Yes, I thought it was only me that felt like that. No, that's probably the most damaging thing, because it's first seen as a compliment, but you teach yourself subconsciously that you can endure anything, keep going, take this, take that, take this. And then when you really need somebody, you can't show that vulnerability because you're told you're strong. It's one of the most damaging things. Daily write letters to myself. I also do a lot of audio recording myself. Awesome, Bernadette. Oh, Michelle says, I want to come on your podcast. I've got lots to say on this.
Okay, so Michelle, send me an email. I'll give it to Danny so she can type it in. Send me an email, because we're always looking for Black women to either send us videos or come on the podcast and be a part of our conversation.
Well, we have got lots. Michelle's one of our authors. She wrote a book called Perfectly Imperfect. So a lot of things that you're saying would be resonating. Poet. It's about healing you. Never talk the house business. It's been a massive reason why we keep everything inside. 100% agree. Your book is therapy, Michelle says. Good evening, Lazy, says Joan. Hello, Joan. Oh my gosh, we've got loads here, so I'm going to whiz through some. Comparing both you and your journeys, what do you think were your biggest hurdles from the head to getting your books published? Okay, there's a question there.
That's a question for both of us, Danny.
You go first.
Okay, so writing first of all, like I keep saying to you guys, the book was a therapy assignment. I toiled back and forth with myself on whether or not I was going to release this to the world, because again, these are personal letters. Now I cleaned them up a little bit and made them a little generic so that they fit everybody, but these were personal letters. So getting it out of my head and getting it to publish was a conversation I had with self. And I'm going to say this to you guys, and I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm only 4 months removed from my situation. My book came out in July. Here we are in October. So I had to really do some strong self-talking with myself and say, hey, how do you feel about people knowing what it is that you went through? People knowing how you actually dealt with things. Because again, before I got into this relationship 2 years ago, I was a chef that I thought was, on top of the world. I was doing all kinds of things, working as a nutritionist, working as a chef. I was doing things with different networks. I shot a pilot show for myself with Eastern TV, but I got into a relationship that broke me. And I'm not going to lie to you. It broke me. It broke me mentally. It broke me emotionally. It broke me financially. It broke me. So I needed to repair and I needed to heal. And I didn't know how to express that to other people. So giving you guys my book it's personal. So it was like, okay, how do I get this out and not feel like I'm telling the world everything that I went through? But that comes with what we said about keeping our business to ourselves. And like I said, my therapist had to work with me on, people need to hear this. People need to understand that they are not the only ones going through this.
100%. And that's so just a caveat to that is when I wrote my book, 2014, it's called Mr. Wrong. It's a collection of stories written by women who've encountered this Mr. Wrong character. So it's tongue-in-cheek. You've got dating disasters, but also stories of overcoming some serious abuse, toxic relationships. But most of all, it's not about battering anyone. It's about, self-love. It's about exploring, examining, understanding our value and our worth, but also our belief systems, because it goes down to our belief systems about how we feel about ourselves, love, relationships. Like I said, similar, I come from a family where you don't chat your business, Caribbean heritage, you don't chat your business. And so me putting a picture of myself in a blog was a big thing. But I found, because mine is slightly different to yours, mine is like a collection of stories written by other women. It started off tongue-in-cheek saying, look, I've gone through this, and that was a massive thing for me. Has anybody else experienced that? But Cami, the fact that I was getting letters, I was getting people from America, Canada, Jamaica, all over the world, Australia, like with similar stories, made me feel like I wasn't alone, and that we could use our stories to empower others. And once the book came out, I was hearing from women, and there are stories from men as well, and how they feel they might be getting a bad rap, or how they might have been a Mr.
Yeah, but
Wrong,
it wasn't bashing them. Like, my book isn't bashing my relationship. It's actually
No, I'm talking about mine. So some of them were talking about, how they feel that men get a bad rap because other men have wounded women, and we carry that. Of course, you're going to carry it. Unless you kind of do the deep healing work. So it kind of was a real exploration of it. But similar to you, when you hear like your cousin was saying, I listened to this and this helped me, and I listened to this daily, it makes you realize this is bigger than yourself. This is something that is to be shared with other people in a positive way. And I think that understanding kind of made it easier to publish. But it's tough. It's tough when you're putting your story out there, isn't it?
It's like, do you really want to share this with others?
Yeah. Once it's out, that's it. All right, Cammy, I've got two things, two questions because I want us to hop over to Instagram in a bit, a few more. So one would be, what would you tell your younger self? What was, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Find your worth and believe in yourself. Those are things that I had to not even learn as my younger self, but as my old self. I'm 44 years old, and my yeah, my recent relationship made me feel worthless. It made me feel devalued. So a part of this, the letters are actually for me to find my value again and find my worth in the world. And that's just a message that I would carry across each generation of myself. Because this wasn't the first bad relationship I was in. This was just one that I guess you know how they say the straw that broke the camel's back.
Mhm.
This was the one that did that. So as I'm in therapy and I'm going through therapy and I'm learning these things, my therapist has even given me an assignment where I had to Google myself. I had to Google myself and look at all of the things that I had accomplished in life and write about myself. Do you know how hard that was?
Yeah.
At 44 years old, I'm just now feeling comfortable listening to myself on my podcast, watching myself on YouTube, which means that I was always afraid of who I was and what I stood for. So, one of the things I would tell my younger self, or my teenage self, or my 20-year-old self is, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are remarkable, and you are an outstanding individual. So that would be my message to my younger self.
Oh, feeling quite emotional there. That's a beautiful message. I think that's a message for all of us. And it
Yeah.
starts with our younger self, doesn't it? It starts telling our younger self more and more. No, thank you. Quite emotional there. So I'm going to leave you to share with us a little bit of one of your letters. Let's hear one of your letters. I'm going to take
Okay.
myself out.
So the one I chose is Discover Your Purpose. And I think this one is very important for all of us. It says, Dear Black woman, your life has purpose, even if you haven't discovered it yet. Take time to explore your passions and interests. Your purpose might change and evolve, and that's okay. Trust that you are here for a reason, and your unique path will reveal itself. You are meant for greatness. Follow your heart and let your purpose guide you. Finding your purpose is important. It's okay if you don't have all the answers right now. Explore different paths, try new things, and see what resonates with you. Your purpose is not a destination, but a voyage of self-discovery and growth. Trust that you are on the right path, even if it's not always clear. Listen to your inner voice and follow what brings you joy and fulfillment. Your purpose is often found in the things that make you come alive. Pay attention to what excites you, what you're passionate about, and what you're naturally drawn to. These are the clues that will guide you to your purpose. With love, me.
Hey, did we like that? Let us know in the comments. Let us know. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Find something that lights you up. And reading your resume, and you've gone through so much, and you offer so much, from your holistic healing to your trauma coaching, to your book writing, to your trauma to testimony workshops. You've certainly found things that light you up, and not only have you found them, you're sharing them with others, and I think that is beautiful. You've got a lot of people here saying, remember, man or woman, you're not alone. God see you. You are a blessing. You've got some claps coming up. I just want to thank you so much for joining us on Between the Covers today.
My God, Danny, this has been so fun. Thank you for having me on. And I cannot wait to get across the pond to London to meet you.
That's my last question. What's next? Sorry, my camera's. What's next for Cami, and how can we find you?
Okay, so I'm on social media everywhere as Cami Red for Life. That's on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, all of those. But on TikTok and on YouTube, I am on as just Cami Redd, the same as my name, Kamiredd. You literally can Google me and it will bring up everything. So, it's Cami Redd for life, the number 4. I'm sorry, Danny.
Number four, sorry.
Yep, the number 4. So it's Cami Redd for life. And like I said, you can Google me everywhere and it'll pull up all of my social media because I am very active on social media. It'll pull up my Facebook, it'll pull up my YouTube. And you can find my website, www.camiredd.com, or my publishing website, which is Redd Ladies, REDDLADYS.com, which stands for Refined, Empowered, Dedicated, and Determined to Love and Desire yourself. So,
and like Cami said, she is easy to find. I googled you obviously for this interview, and literally everything comes up, and you're doing an amazing job inspiring lots of people, whether you see them or whether you don't, because you never know. And this goes to everyone. You never know who your words affect, and sometimes you may never know.
So I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Danny. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm just so excited. I'm like, yay!
My pleasure. Connect with Cami Redd wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. The links to everything are in the post. You can @ me if you want to get Cami's details. But like we said, CamiRedd.com, Cami Redd for life. You can easily find her and check out Dear Black Women. So, Dear Black Woman, sorry. Next week, I am interviewing the awesome and amazing David Simon, who is the founder of Simon Education. And Cami, I'd love for you to come when you come to England, come in October, because he's got an event called the Black British, no, there's 2 different ones. The Black Book Festival on the 19th of August. I'm going to be interviewing the also an amazing Rudolph Walker. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's
I saw that on your page. But send me all of those dates. Send me everything that you want me to attend and me to come to, so that I can put it on my schedule and make sure I book my flight right away.
I definitely will. So Rudolph Walker is one of the first Black actors in the UK from Trinidad. He's got over 60 years worth of acting under his belt from the 70s. He's experienced so much in terms of Black representation in TV and theatre and film, and seeing the changes. His book Walking with Dignity is coming out. I'm going to be interviewing him at the Black Film Festival. There's so many Black British film festivals going on this month on the 19th. So I'm going to be speaking with Simon. He's going to share more information about this. So Cami, when you come back in October, I'm going to be doing an event as well. I've got one on the 27th of October. We want you down for all of it. All right.
I'm coming. I'll come and spend the whole month of October in England, because you said that's Black History Month over there, correct?
Yeah, I've got an event every weekend this whole month.
That is different from over here, where Black History Month is in February for us. So that works for me. I would love to come there and spend my time there for the entire month of October doing Black History Month events with you. So that's great for me.
And maybe I need to come down to Georgia or up to Georgia in February. So let's make it happen, people.
Yes, let's get it. Let's do that. I love that. Thank you so much, Danny. Again, I am so grateful for this opportunity.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining in. Join us next Thursday, 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST. Follow myself and Cami and find out what more we're up to in the coming weeks, months, and years. Have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.